This is episode number 17?
Yes, 17.
Right on.
Yes.
And we were thinking about doing a B movie in a specific genre of video games.
Yes.
Because there's a few.
Oh, boy.
There's a few. But then we end up getting into a whole other discussion.
Yeah, it was weird.
About video game movies in general tend to suck.
Very much so.
So we figured, why don't we just discuss why they suck?
And there's a lot of things. I know you have points, I have points, but yeah. They just really tend to suck because I can't really think of a movie, based off a video game that I'm like, oh man, that was great. It's always like, okay.
Yeah.
Or it's just horrible.
At best, you're like, all right, that was all right.
Yeah.
So I figured, like, we would talk about what kind of games were made into movies.
Yes.
Then we'll talk about why we think they always suck.
Yes.
For the most part. And then we can give our favorites. The ones we think suck the most.
Yeah.
And then we could talk about, like, how we think they could make a game into a movie and be successful with it. Make a good one.
Yeah.
Does that sound about what we were thinking?
I think that's it.
That's what I wrote.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
So, as far as I know, the first video game movie ever, official video game movie, because there were some things that were kind of related, was the Mario Brothers movie.
Really?
I think that was one of the first main ones.
Okay.
And that was one of the great disappointments of my childhood.
I have to agree with you. Like, you know what it is? I saw it once and I was like, great. And then I saw it again. I was like, wow, this is dumb. This is very dumb.
Yeah.
It's like, it's one of those movies where, for me at least, it's like, you have to watch it twice to appreciate how stupid it is.
Oh, yeah.
Comparing it to the video game.
Oh, yeah, especially.
And then just as a movie.
I
overall.
remember my parents taking me to see it, man. I was so excited. Mario Brothers into a movie. Right off the bat, I think with that movie, Hollywood showed us that there was going to be a trend here with video game movies, and that they did not know how, like, they would make stuff and it had shit that was completely unrelated.
Yes.
And there were so many things wrong with that movie. It was like, I don't think they were actually brothers in the movie.
They don't even look alike.
No.
At all.
No.
When you look at the game, okay, Mario was shorter. Luigi was taller.
Yeah.
When they took that to the movie, they were just like, eh.
Yeah.
Because they were just like, well, we just got to get someone taller with a name. John Leguizamo.
Yeah.
Anthony Hopkins.
And then the Goombas.
No, his name is Bob Hopkins, isn't it?
Yeah, Bob Hopkins.
Rest in peace. We're very sorry.
Yeah, and Dennis Hopper, right, is King Koopa. And then the Goombas were like just big guys with these little Goomba heads and shit. It was such a horrible movie. Everything about it was horrible.
And then the princess was just...
Yeah, she was just like a woman that was like, what was she?
She was a princess. She was an archaeologist.
Yeah, an archaeologist, that's
who was raised by humans, but she came out of an egg.
Yeah.
Even though she has a human birth mother.
We don't need to talk about that movie anymore.
Yeah,
the point was, from the get-go of video game movies, they sucked.
Yes.
And then they continued the sucking with Double Dragon.
Oh, I remember Double. Now, that was a movie where I saw it and I was like, yeah, this is stupid. This is horrible.
Yeah. But then in the mid-90s,
yeah,
there was a little bit of a revival. Mortal Kombat came out.
Yes.
Mortal Kombat was actually pretty damn good.
Yeah, and I think it was a hit. It was a box office hit.
It was a hit.
It did get slammed by critics, but it was a hit.
Yeah.
So.
Since then, there's been a lot of adaptations from video games to movie. And most of the time, they don't do that good.
No.
They can't seem to get it right. And a lot of times for the same reasons. So I guess we can just give our reasons why we think, our theories on why we think these don't work out.
Okay, cool. So with video games, you're probably most likely on a journey.
Yeah.
You're going to different places. Which means you're going to run into a lot of characters. With video games, they have all these characters, but in the movies, they don't know how to portray them properly. Either it's like way too many, or they just don't understand why the character is there. Which is difficult in the first place because it's a video game character.
Yeah.
For example, let's talk about Street Fighter. Street Fighter had so many characters in it, but it's almost like they just put them there just because they're in the game.
Yeah.
Let's start with Guile. Guile is an American. He has an American tattoo. Who plays Guile?
Jean-Claude.
Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Oh, man.
And right there, you're just like, oh, okay. So they didn't even get an American, or somebody who could at least do an American accent.
Yeah.
To do that.
Street Fighter, that was like a second disappointment of
Oh,
my childhood.
God. Oh, man. But anyway, so they don't get the characters right. That's one. And then there's so many characters in that movie.
Yeah.
But they don't do, most of them don't do anything that they do in the game.
Yeah.
You know, it goes down the list just, and then when they do have them do something that they're supposed to do in the game, it's like for a brief second. Balrog, that's the boxer's name, right? He has this move that says, hello, goodbye when you punch somebody. There's just one part in the movie where the guy does that, and that's it. That's his whole character. Just, hello, goodbye. Oh, that's Balrog. Moving on. So, I think they don't know how to translate the characters to the screen. That's a big thing to me.
And like you said, yeah, they try to shoehorn everyone in. And that was a big problem with the second Mortal Kombat.
Oh,
they try
God.
to do everything in that movie.
Everybody.
That's got to be one of the worst B movies ever.
It's up there. It's definitely up. You know why? Just for that reason. Like, they tried to shove everybody in that movie. And it's like, you already had 3 main characters that you built up in the first one.
Yeah, see, the first one, exactly. You had the 3 main characters with a little bit of Raiden as kind of a main character.
Your guy.
You had a pretty good villain.
Yeah, you did.
And then the other characters were just kind of like Scorpion, Sub-Zero. They didn't focus like a ton on them. They were just there for the good fight scenes.
They were the minions of Shang Tsung.
Yeah, exactly. And those were great fight scenes.
Awesome fight scenes.
But yeah, in the second one, they were like, oh, well, the first one was successful. Now we just need to put everything in this one.
Everything.
Yeah.
Dear God.
Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah, it was very bad. It was, ugh.
To turn a video game into a movie, there's one major hurdle, I think. Mm-hmm. And it kind of goes with your first point of being on a journey.
Yeah.
When you're playing a game, it's an interactive, immersive experience.
Yes.
You're playing as the character, you're in the story, and then they have to take this immersive experience and make it into a movie. And now you're not as the character anymore, you're just watching them.
Yes.
But it works in the reverse. Because you can take a movie and then make it into a game, and it could be good.
Yes.
Oh, I love James Bond. I always wanted to be Bond. Mm-hmm. Oh, now I can play GoldenEye.
Yes.
So it works the opposite.
Well, continuing on to that, because you mentioned Double Dragon. If you remember, Double Dragon is a game where you go down the street.
Is this Dixie?
No. Oh, it is Dixie.
It is?
Yes. Lightning fast reflexes Joe.
You might witness a perfect turd accident.
Yeah. But just going back to what we were talking about, you know, Double Dragon, you're going down the street, you're fighting.
Yeah.
In Double Dragon, they hardly ever fight.
No.
They're doing a lot of running.
Oh, yeah, a lot of bullshit.
That too.
Yeah.
They have a rocket-powered car. They get into a boat chase.
Yeah. They don't actually get, and then at the end, they get the pendant.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was horrible.
Yeah, and God.
I think a lot of times Hollywood is just looking to make a buck.
Yeah.
And they don't understand these games. I don't even know if they want to understand the games. It's just like, oh, here's something we can make into a movie because it has fans that we can sell it to.
This is what the kids are into.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, what do they like? They like Street Fighter. Okay, let's just make some piece of crap and put it out.
Yeah. And you know what? That goes to me remembering Prince of Persia. Going off of that, it's a fan base, it's pretty awesome. Then they cast Jake Gyllenhaal,
Jake Gyllenhaal,
to be the lead. The Prince of Persia.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Why not?
What? Resident Evil. Resident Evil is a moody game.
Yeah.
It's like I think one of the first atmospheric horror games. Like when you play it, it's very hard to kill the zombies and shit because they might come out of nowhere and that kind of thing. But in the Resident Evil series, she's doing flips, jumping around.
Yeah, and that was when they were trying to make every movie like The Matrix.
And that's another thing, trying to blend the trends and stuff like that with these games, and then you don't really understand why the game was successful.
Right.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's just a disconnect between, I guess, Hollywood thinking and just pure game culture. But yeah, there's a big disconnect.
Okay.
It's a huge disconnect, and it's like, even with the writing and everything like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what are the best and worst? What are your opinions?
Well, when you're talking about the best, that's such a short list.
Perfect turd.
Oh God, I mean, Mortal Kombat to me still stands the test of time, because I feel like the filmmakers got, like, okay, we're going to focus on these characters because that best translates to a good movie.
Mortal Kombat.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And then just on the polar opposite, I would have to say Street Fighter, because like with Street Fighter, people remember that movie for the bad, just the bad stuff. Yeah.
I can't think of anything good about it.
You really can't.
Can you?
They finished it. They turned something in, but
at the end they'll.
That's the only thing. That's a video game thing, and it's just like, and then unfortunately Raul Julia. He was very sick.
He was very sick, and he's a great actor, and
very good.
He was unfortunately cast in this movie, and it was a horrible movie.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, because he's a good actor.
Yeah.
Or was a good actor. So for me, my best, I'm pretty much in agreement with Mortal Kombat. I also, for what it was, I haven't seen it in a while, but I was entertained by the first Tomb Raider. It was kind of there.
Yeah.
For the worst, I'm torn. I got a three-way tie between Street Fighter, Double Dragon, and Mario.
I agree. Yeah.
I'm gonna say
that's a hard one, because the level of suckiness between all of them is pretty close.
And there's another Street Fighter, the Chun-Li one. That one was pretty rotten, too.
I don't even mention that one, because it's almost like you already have one piece of shit.
Yeah.
You don't want to keep digging and find another piece of shit.
I'm going to say Mario. And the reason why is because at least with the Street Fighter and with Double Dragon, I can sit and watch it and make fun of it a bit.
Yeah.
Kind of get a laugh out of it. Mario Brothers just sucks. It's just you're watching it and it's like, what does this have to do with Mario Brothers? This sucks.
Yeah, I'm not gonna debate you, Joe. That is a very bad movie.
We have to pick one.
So I guess the next thing is there any hope for video game movies?
Possibly. Possibly.
Yeah, because, well, let me start by saying this.
Okay.
The two biggest ideas for, game to movie adaptations, there was a big reach for Uncharted. However, the fans kind of stabbing at the people making it, because it was supposed to apparently have Mark Wahlberg as Nathan Drake.
That's not good.
And people were pissed.
Right. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
They wanted Nathan Fillion, if that's how you say his name.
The guy from Firefly.
Yes. There was like a big outcry for him. Yeah. And so when and I think that's when Hollywood is starting to pay attention. It's like when the fans are saying shit.
Yeah.
It's kind of like.
And also, hate to interrupt you, but the guy that does the voice in the game.
Yeah.
They not only did he do the voice, but they modeled the character after him.
Yes.
So he not only sounds like him, but he looks like him. So they could get that guy too.
Yeah.
If they did Marky Mark, I'm out.
No. The other one, though, is Metal Gear Solid.
Okay.
Metal Gear Solid, I'm a big fan of the series. It's probably the most convoluted story ever. It features spies, ninjas, ghosts, nanomachines, clones, and Russians.
You don't like Russians?
Gunslingers? No, all of these things come
Russians
together.
are so ridiculous.
But it's just like, well, I'll say this: it evolved from the Cold War.
Yeah, I know.
So I'm kind of like,
that's gonna end up being like what you say, where you have so much shit to try to force in there.
oh god.
Okay, can they be made into shows where it's more long form?
That could probably work for something like, Metal Gear Solid, but to the writer who is writing it, either as a movie or if we get our fantasy, if they write it as, a Netflix show.
You can't just pick a game because it's super popular and say, let's cash in.
Yeah.
You have to pick a game that has a specific concept that's already worked as a movie. So an example of what I think can be done would be The Last of Us.
Yes.
Because that's been done in movies before. That
Yeah.
post-apocalyptic, post-pandemic survival.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen that in movies and TV shows. We know it works.
Yes.
So that game can be made into a movie.
I will add it to the movies the games that could be made into movies.
Mm-hmm.
God of War.
God of War. I was thinking that.
God of War
That
could
was
be
in my
made
head.
into a movie.
300 style or something.
300 style. They were talking. Who was the guy from Prison Break?
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
They were talking about
what's his
maybe
name?
him being.
As long as it's not Vin Diesel.
Oh,
Please, Lord, don't make it
Don't
be
do it.
Vin Diesel or The Rock.
No, the Rock can't. And I like the Rock in
I like
some
The Rock,
stuff.
but we're just too much Rock.
Yeah.
Unless he wants to be on the show.
He wants to be on the show. Oh, God.
Unless he wants to come on the podcast, then he's allowed.
Yeah, that's the weird thing. Like, I don't know. Hollywood just has a disconnect sometimes, not just with video game movies, just with, like, the public.
Yeah. Oh, Rampage. I guess that was the most recent video game movie.
And you know what? It was so memorable that we forgot about it for our podcast talking about video games.
Rampage.
Yeah, I
A
heard.
loose adaptation. Well, I think we covered it.
Yeah.
So, episode number 17, Why Video Game Movies Suck.
Yes.
That's a wrap, folks.
Rap.
Alrighty. Peace.
Deuces.